What is the correct way to indent all of the paragraphs in your book? Well, a lot of people, when they want to indent all of the paragraphs, what they'll do is they'll go through their book and they'll click at the start of each paragraph and they'll press the tab key. Now, this isn't necessarily the wrong thing to do, but you have to be very careful when using the tab key in Microsoft Word, because sometimes it does what you want and sometimes it does something slightly different, but which looks like it's the same. It looks like it's done what you want it to, but actually it's done something slightly different, and it's quite difficult to notice. So you have to be very careful using the tab key. My suggestion is that you simply never use the tab key when typing in Microsoft Word. Train yourself out of the habit of using the tab key. Instinctively, I tend to use the tab key when I'm typing. But train yourself out of the habit so that by the time you get to the end of the book, by the time you've finished writing your book, you've never pressed the tab key, you've not put any tabs into the book. That's the best way to do it. And then once you get to that point, it's very easy just to go through and actually implement the indentation the correct way, which is simply to select all of the paragraphs you want to indent. And then you go to this paragraph section up here, you click this arrow. Under indentation, ignore left and right because that just indents the entire paragraph to the left or the right rather than just the first line. What we want under here is special, where we go down and we click first line, and then we can set the indentation here. The default is 1.27 centimeters. I personally think that's quite large if we look at that. That's quite a large indent, I think, perhaps a bit too large for me. I prefer a smaller one. That's at 0.5 centimeters. There we go, and that's quite elegant. And that's indented the first line in each paragraph. So that's the correct way to do it. Now for the slightly longer answer. What is the problem with using tab, and what kind of problems does it cause? Well, let me first undo all of that indentation so that we're back to where we were. This is going to be a lot easier to see if I first click this button up here. Clicking this button, you'll see that it puts marks in everywhere where there was an invisible character. So here, this is where spaces were. It's put a dot in there to indicate that there is a character there that would normally be invisible, which is a space. And similarly, it's done the same sort of thing at the end of the paragraph here. It's put this character in. This character is supposed to be the same as this one, even though it looks a bit different. This character is called Pilcrow, if you didn't know, and it's been used for a very long time, hundreds of years, I think, to indicate, I think normally the start of a paragraph, but here it's been used to indicate the end of a paragraph. And the end of a paragraph, can be thought of as having a new paragraph character in there. That's why that shows. So that's what doing that is. If you click that button, it shows. It puts marks where there were otherwise invisible characters. So it's easier to see by clicking that. Let me first show you what happens if we do use tab to indent some of the paragraphs. If I click here and I press tab, that's now indented that paragraph, and you can tell that it's done it the right way, because if we select that paragraph and we go back up to here, you can see that it's done that thing. It's done special first line 1.27, so it's done that correctly. But it doesn't always do that. If I go down to the end, let's say that as I was writing a book, I had done this on some of the paragraphs. I had pressed tab to indent it, and it had done it correctly. But let's say that I hadn't done that with all of them, and I'd done it with some of them, and then I continued writing at the end. And I started with something like this. So I come to the end, and now I hit return to start a new paragraph, and now instinctively I hit tab, and I start writing again. Well, now you can see that something different has happened. There's a mark here, there's an arrow here, where there wasn't up here when we press tab to indent this. And that's because on this occasion a tab character has been put in. If we turn this show hidden characters or show paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols. If we turn that off, we can see that disappears. So this is, the tab is a character that's normally invisible. Here it's marked by an arrow. So something different has happened. Now let's just fill out the rest of this paragraph. I'll just copy and paste. No, not that. There to there. We just fill out the rest of that paragraph. Now, if we didn't have these show hidden symbols on, if we just had it like that, which is how you normally use Microsoft Word, well, this doesn't really look any different to this. It looks like the same thing has happened. But if we now try and do what we would have done before, we select things and we try to set the paragraph level indentation. Let's select first line, 1.27. Oh dear. Now this one's been indented correctly. Now this one's been double indented. What's going on there? Of course, if we just click show hidden characters, we can see what the problem is. More word being silly. But if you didn't know that that's what was going on, you'd think, why on earth has this done this strange thing? And so that can cause a lot of problems. If you've gone through your entire book and sometimes you've indented some of the paragraphs with a tab character, not knowingly, by the time it comes to formatting your book, you've no idea, what's going on with each. If you try to set the indentation, sometimes it's going to work correctly, sometimes it's not. What's going on? So it just causes a bit of a problem. If you go through the book and you if you press tab while you're typing as you go through the book, as you're writing the book, it may well cause problems when you come to the end. If you were to just resist pressing tab, but then at the end go through and use tab to indent everything, it would then do it correctly, but you're still having to click at the start of every paragraph and do it rather than just selecting all the paragraphs in a chapter and indenting them all together, which is a lot quicker. So that's why I recommend not using, just never press the tab key when typing in Microsoft Word, because it creates this problem, which is very annoying to have to solve later. So my recommendation is never press the tab key. And then when it comes to formatting your book, you should always leave formatting to the end. Do all the format at the end. Resist the temptation to do it earlier. It's very tempting, but resist that temptation. Do it all at the end. And one of the first things you should do is go through the entire book and check that you haven't accidentally put any tabs in as a way of cleaning the document before you apply the actual formatting. And then once you've gone through and you've checked that there's no tabs, you can go through and actually properly apply the paragraph indentation. So that's the longer answer to the question. Avoid using tab is my recommendation, and then just wait until the end and set the paragraph indentation using this section here.